In today's YouTube video, I'm giving you guys my top 5 guns you guys should be using here after the haunting update in Warzone. If y'all enjoy, be sure to give it a like for the algorithm, subscribe with the notifications turned on, and let's hop into this. All right, our first gun we have to take a look at here is gonna be the Cast-Off 545. So this got touched in the previous update, and then it got buffed even further here within this update, increasing its overall mid-range capabilities, making this probably like the #1 AR for you guys to use in Warzone. So that first attachment's the Komodo Heavy, helping us out that horizontal recoil control. So this is very good here to be able to stabilize the gun out. If you have too much horizontal recoil, it makes it so it's incredibly hard to be able to control it, bounce around too much, so you have to stabilize that out. The tuning on that is going to be a +0.36 and a +0.11. Now we're going to go up in here. We're going to run the IG-K30 406mm barrel. This can give us an increase in recoil control, bullet velocity, damage range, and of course hip fire accuracy. Don't care as much about the hip fire accuracy, but what we really do care about is pretty much the other 3 things, and the cons are not something we're really worried about either. The tuning on that is going to be a +0.18 and a -0.21. Now we're gonna go down here. We're gonna run the F-Tac Gripper 56. So this is one of my favorite underbarrels to be able to run on pretty much any assault rifle in this game. Definitely recommend it. I mean, it just works out so well on a variety of different things. If you're not running, you know, one of these, maybe you're running like an ammunition or something like that. But generally speaking, the F-Tac Gripper is gonna be your way to go. The tuning on that is gonna be a +0.59 and a +0.27. I'm going to run the 60 round mag down here in the magazine section. So there's the option for the 45 and the 60. I would highly recommend you guys stick exclusively to the 60 round mag. I don't believe, even pretty much frankly in solos, that running a 45 round mag is going to be all that beneficial. I would just go for the 60. You're really not going to notice much of a mobility difference, and it's not something we're really too concerned with on this thing because it's a primary AR. We're trying to make sure it's good at range, not necessarily caring about how fast it is. So that's why we have the 60 round mag. And our last attachment here is going to be the MW2, but because this is the haunting update, if you guys want to go throw on, it's like the hollow therm or something like that. If you go like way down here, if you want to throw this on there, you guys could definitely do that to be able to have like that ability for like some of the specialized game modes. But otherwise, generally speaking, you're probably going to stick away from something like that if you're playing regular battle royale and you want to use something like the MW4, the SC recharge. Those are going to be your 2 primary options. And I have seen people, and I've tested it out myself a little bit, running like an actual red dot sight. You guys could definitely do that, but personally I don't believe the 545 works that great with that. I prefer the AMOP or the SC recharge. If you're going for one of those specialized modes, throw in like the hollow therm, something like that, you'll be good to go. But also, as a general rule of thumb for your tuning, you want to go for a lot more aim down sight speed. In this case, we can max out the ADS speed, and at far distance, what I have this tuned to, for a lot of the lower visual recoil guns like the 545, you can push it out a little bit farther, and that'll be entirely okay, or you can put it close. It really doesn't matter. But sometimes even on those like high visual recoil guns, I'll push it out farther just because I want as much like, or as little visual recoil as possible. In this case, it doesn't really matter. That's a personal preference thing. Close, far, personal preference, but always tuned for ADS speed. But that's my full build there for the 545. We're taking a look here at the BAS piece. This wouldn't get touched as much within the update, but everything else around it got touched, making this thing, or just kind of elevating this gun to be significantly better here. And it's just a really good SMG even after that previous update, but especially with this, the update now, this thing is even better. So first attachment, the Spiral V3.5 flash hider. This is just going to help us out here with that recoil steadiness. This thing doesn't have a ton of recoil, but it can bounce around a little bit. I'm sure anyone that's used the BAS P knows what I'm talking about. And also muzzle flash concealment is really nice. The tuning on that is going to be -0.45 and a +0.40 there on the bottom. Now we're going to go up in here. We're going to run the 6.5 Bruin Drake barrel. This is going to give us that increase in ADS speed, movement speed, and hip recoil control. I absolutely love running this. I don't know who just joined my party, but it is what it is. We got the Bruin Drake in here. This is going to be a really solid barrel for maximum mobility. Definitely recommend that. The tuning is going to be a -0.31 and a +0.35. After that, we're going to run the VLK Laser 7MW for an increase in ADS speed, aiming stability, and sprint to fire speed. Overall, a really solid option to be able to make you more mobile, and so I'd highly recommend that. The tuning is going to be -0.42 and a -14.81. Now we're going to go down and run the 50 round magazine. And that guy joined my party once again. But anyways, we have the 50 round magazine in here, and this is going to be our go-to option because we only have the 30 otherwise. So I definitely recommend for you guys to be able to have that. And lastly, we're going to finish out this build here with the Bruin Flash V4 stock, and this is going to just give us tons of mobility here without screwing up the entire rest of the build, because if you're on like the stockless mod, that could be a little bit too much. And unfortunately in this game, as opposed to Modern Warfare 3, for you guys that played the beta, when you actually make something super mobile, you really end up screwing up the recoil on it like quite significantly. But in this game, you know, you just have to kind of deal with that. So we happen to have the Bruin flash stock, and they give us a lot of mobility without screwing us up. The tuning is going to be minus 2.97 and a minus 0.85. So that's my full build there for the BAS-P. For our next gun, we're taking a look at the FR Advancer. So this gun right here was super dominant in the previous update and is now more dominant in this update right now. So first attachment is the X10 ported 290 to help us out that vertical recoil control, because this gun loves to bounce around, loves to bounce up, and that is something we have to be able to control. Not as much that side to side, but it bounces up, so we're definitely going to take care of that with this attachment. The tuning is going to be a plus 0.54 and a plus 0.19. Now we're going to go in here and run the 435 MMFR 435 barrel, or 435 millimeter barrel. But basically, this gives us that increase in recoil control, hip recoil control, and bullet velocity. It says it messes with your actual damage range. I got to close out my party, dog. This is kind of ridiculous today. But pretty much, we're going to really enjoy this barrel. I was running the 600 millimeter for a while, but I just didn't find it to be that great because I didn't get the recoil control benefits, and this gun really does need that. So that's why we're going to run this one in particular. It needs to be a plus 0.24 and a plus 0.13. Now I'm going to go down here, run the F-Tac Gripper 56 for aiming at stability, hipfire accuracy, and recoil stabilization. The tuning on that is going to be a plus 0.80 and a minus 0.18. Now I'm going to go down here and throw only 60 round mag. I just closed my party privacy, by the way, because I don't know why people are joining me so much today, but we have the 60 round mag on here, which is going to be super crucial because this gun in particular has got such a high fire rate that is very necessary to have on the 60 round, even as opposed to the 45. Definitely don't want to go for that. I'm a 60 round mag kind of guy, so I just recommend the 60 anyways, but definitely go for that kind of regardless. And last but definitely not least here, once again, the same general rule of thumb applies if you're going to go for those specialized game modes, throwing like the holotherm, something like that. But generally, want to go for the AMOT B4 or the SC recharge over here. Either or, you're going to be fine. Sometimes I prefer to run the SC recharge just because it looks cooler. To be honest with you guys, I mean, there's no real difference. I just kind of like the way it looks, but the tuning also is the same rule of thumb. Go for a little more ADS speed. So in this case, a minus 1.26. Now this max out in the bottom for that far distance, trying to push it as far away from me as possible to mitigate as much visual recoil as I can possibly do. So that is that. That's my full build there for the FR Advancer. Next up, I got to give you guys a build here for the Lockman sub. This gun got buffed and kind of nerfed simultaneously at the same time. It's really weird. They like buff your like headshot and your neck damage multipliers, but they kind of decrease some of the range on it. So it's still going to be kind of ridiculously good, especially in super close quarters, which is kind of what this thing excels at. So we're going to give you a build here for it. So the L38 Falcon is going to be our go-to barrel for increase in movement speed and aim down sight speed. The tuning on that's going to be minus 0.19 and a plus 0.21. Now we're going to go up in here. We're going to run the VLK Laser 7W for the increase in ADS speed, aiming stability, and sprint to fire speed, just making us over on mobile. And it also just helps us with our aiming stability, making it so that our gun doesn't bounce around as much. Very easy to be able to use. I mean, you guys can also run the 1MW quickfire laser, but you won't get some of those benefits. But you also will not have your laser visible to anyone, so that's another pretty nice thing. So, I mean, I guess it helps out some of the corner campers if you want to use this to corner camp. But otherwise, your laser is going to be visible. The tuning's be minus 0.16, a minus 23.03. Now we're going to go down, run the 40 round mag. You have the option to go for the 50. I personally don't think a 50 is necessary. It's just really not, frankly. So I just go for the 40 and pretty much call it the day right there. Now we're going to go back, run the Lockman TCG10 for the increase in recoil control. The reason we had this is just because this gun will bounce around, and we have added a lot of mobility here throughout this build, and we're also going to still do it with our last attachment, but we need to be able to control it just ever so slightly, and this TCG 10 grip really does help us out with that. The tuning is going to be minus 0.26 and a minus 0.36, still kind of gearing a little bit more towards, you know, the mobility aspect, but we just need a little bit of recoil control. And last but definitely not least on this gun here is the FT mobile stock, which is honestly one of my favorite attachments to run on this short out of that barrel. But this is just such a good one. This got buffed, you know, probably a few patches ago, a few updates ago, and ever since then this has been a staple to my Lockman build, so definitely go for this. The tuning is being all the way maxed out in the bottom for both things, so you really don't have too much of an issue right there, kind of trying to fine tune that one. But that's my full build there for the Lockman sub. And for our last gun here in today's top 5, a very new one to make it into a top 5 is going to be the MX9 SMG. So this got a pretty substantial buff today, and I wanted to throw this in there because it's actually going to be probably pretty useful. It's already usable anyways, and it's one of my favorite ground loot guns to be able to find because it was very mobile, super low recoil, but it got buffed even more so in the damage profile range wise. So we're going to give you guys a good build for it. So First thing's the 508mm rear guard. So this thing is going to help us out with that damage range, hip fire accuracy, and bullet velocity. This is going to make this thing more effective at just a little bit outside that super close range. The tuning is going to be minus 0.16 and minus 0.04, so you barely got to touch this thing right there. Now we're going to go over here, run the VLK Laser 7W, just increasing our mobility. You guys kind of know what this does, so I don't got to explain it too much. The tuning on that is going to be minus 0.16 and minus 18.10. Now we're gonna go down here, run the 32 round mag. So that was one of the things that does hold this gun back, is its magazine size. I really wish they'd added like an update, a patch of something to buff the magazine size up to like 40. That'd be huge, and that'd probably make this thing a lot more usable, because it's not as great for obviously trios and quads, because having 32 rounds, not the greatest, but it still actually does work, and this thing's very mobile, so you can kind of get around that. Now we're gonna go back, run the Bruin Q900 grip for the increase in sprint to fire and aim down sight speed, just making it more mobile. The tuning is gonna be minus 0.39 and minus 0.41. And lastly, for this gun, we have the FTAC C11 riser, increasing our sprint to fire and aim down sight speed. So we're just going super crazy here on mobility, which is kind of how you should build your SMGs, apart from like maybe running like a no stock attachment, because that will just really chalk your entire build. But the tuning is being minus 0.24 and a minus 0.06. So that's my full build. That has been my top 5. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to give it a like for the algorithm, subscribe with those notifications turned on. Of course, check out this other video on screen. I'll see you guys next time.